Viele Flüchtigkeit des Landes.
If you have a question, there is a microphone in the room, so just raise your hand. Maybe we can start with the end, actually, Adina, I would say, because I realized that the last words on the film are actually the starting point. And I would like you, well, to share with the audience how the project started and your reflection upon it.
Shall we also introduce my colleagues as a
Of course,
start?
please.
So I'm very happy to have here with me Laura Benson. You've seen her already. Bianca Vana, the producer of the film. Martiška Bozilova, the Bulgarian co-producer of the film, and Radovan Sbir, the Czech co-producer of the film. Really important supporters that helped us make this film possible. We've been through a really long process together, and actually the film started like many years ago from this idea. I'm actually saying it in the film at one point, how things function, what is beauty, how desire functions, all this kind of stuff. And the real life really destabilized a lot of these ideas. Like in the past 20 years, I realized there are many other possibilities. People can experience intimacy in many other ways than what I was educated that intimacy can be. So, like 7 years ago, the idea started to take shape, and long casting process started, but it was not a typical casting because the film is neither fiction nor documentary. It's a hybrid of reality and fiction, in which I was searching for like-minded people that would like to join me in the search, in this research. And once we found each other, that's a very long story, but once we found each other, we started this kind of laboratory in which fiction was more like a sort of a safety net in which we could explore authentic aspects about ourselves.
I mean, the whole way I got involved in the film was in a very magical way, so totally unexpected, because I'd stopped being an actress about 8 years before, and I just did one film. And my agent rang me up and she said, "Laura, you're up for a lead part in a Romanian film." And I said, "Martine, don't you think there's a mistake?" And she said, "That's exactly what I thought." And I'd been asked to send some images of stuff that I'd done, and since I hadn't filmed for a while, I was asked to do an improvisation, and the subject matter was sent to me.
Not an improvisation.
Yeah, well, it's a personal diary, but I didn't write it. I improvised it when I did it. And I thought about the subject matter, which was about, I'd say, the difficulty of intimacy and what can come up in that kind of subject. And I thought about it. Of course, it had to be done really quickly, as these things always have to be done. And I didn't realise it was only for 3 minutes. So I sent a 10-minute diary, and I got a call back saying they'd like to meet you. And it was all kind of like a bottle out in the sea, that I thought, well, I'm going to go along and just try and be relaxed. And then Adina sent me an email after a 4-hour interview saying, would you like to be part of the film? And I watched a film she'd done called Don't Get Me Wrong, which I absolutely loved. And that's how it started. And it was just such a surprise. And I really didn't know what I was letting myself in for. I really didn't understand what the film was about, and I didn't realise how much I'd actually need to put into it. And it was an extraordinary experience, and I really, really enjoyed working with Adina.
I was wondering about your name, actually, because your name is pretty revelatory, I would say, of this kind of ambiguity.
So when I received the script, the character's name is Laura. And Adina said, do you think we should keep the name? And I said, I definitely think we should change it. And she said, I think not. And I said, but Adina, you're going to... She said, I'm only going to talk to the character. And I said, but when you want me to turn left, you're going to say, Laura, can you turn left? And I think you'll be talking to the actress and not the character. And she said, I will always be talking to the character. and so she decided to keep the name Laura.
You can talk a bit more about the interviews. Like the way we found each other came very much from those interviews. It was more like trying to meet another human being at a sort of a core level. That was the triggering point. I remember, even today, I remember the most powerful thing in that interview. It was very strange to realize it now. Was one of the exercises that we were supposed to work with was that you would bring a piece of music which is really relevant emotionally for you, and we tried to work with the body reacting to that piece of music. And actually, like, the piece of music that stays at the source of the last scene with the dance, you worked with that in that point, and this was like the moment when I felt this power, this energy inside you, which is at the core of the character, and which is at the core of the search for inner freedom that the film is. So that's how basically we worked.
Let's talk about a bit more extensively about the cast and about the principle that guided you through the choice of your character, because there was this kind of very deep implication that was required to work with your project. So can you, before kind of giving the word to the audience,
There are already questions.
Yeah, briefly introducing your kind of the characters.
For me, I mean, for all of us, I think it was such an amazing learning, discovery process, this whole thing. It was searching for like-minded people that would like to go with us in the journey, and very important, it was that each of them has a very strong motivation, emotional motivation. They need to share something with the audience. And the film started as a proposal of dialogue. So as you see, also the procedure, the device, the apparatus that we use in the film mediates this kind of direct communication, because while they are talking to me and with the lens, they are talking implicitly with the viewer all the time. So camera is more like a channel, a medium, which creates a bridge between the viewer and the reality that, you know, these people took amazing risks to do this project, and they really open up, they offer an amazing accessibility to some of their most sensitive areas. I can talk extensively about all of them, like for example, Christian is Christian in film, and he works a lot with his private material, and he is like a fascinating character. He is a very outspoken activist for the rights of the people with disabilities. He is the leader of the Association for Independent Living in Germany. He is very interested in sexuality and disability, and he has a blog that you can search for online, which is called kissability.d. He was part of another association for persons with disability that he was the president of it, and he was basically fired. You know, he was eliminated from this head position because he was speaking too openly about sexuality, and there is discrimination even within the group, you know, that he's representing sometimes. So his discourse is really interesting. Also, Hannah, she studied philosophy, she's a very intelligent speaker, and she really destabilized, both her and Shani, they destabilized our ideas about what sex work means. There might be, like many people in the sex industry, that do it for survival, but there are people which do it as a form of self-exploration, as a form of therapy, as a form of social service.
Research.
Yeah, for example, in Hannah's case, I mean, she was explaining to me that for many transgender people which have this difficult relationship with their body, because it's so difficult for society to accept the fact that they are different than the regular like division between genders. It's very difficult for many people to accept that genders are fluid, you know, which they are. For many transgender people, sex work, it's a way, their possibility basically to explore their bodies and what they love, and in a relationship with these clients, with these people they meet. Shani, it's another very interesting character, which is a combination between a sex therapist and healer and escort. He has a very interesting site, www.shanilov.com, if you want to explore that.
There's a question over there.
Just a commentary. I mean, I was so curious about how the film could go on for such a long time. Time is the most precious thing we have, and we exchange. So you asked a lot of time. Quite okay, but limit. The only thing I had a kind of a barrier with, it was decor. Is the decor like a scenography, set? I mean, is it the ultimate mask we wear? Is it the ultimate mask, like protecting us from being attacked once more? Just that. It's a personal thing.
So it was very interesting that different people had a different reaction on the predominance of color white in the film. Like for me, like the color white and the empty space, it's something which is very soothing. And actually we tried to create in the film a sort of a bubble of safety in which we could feel, where we could explore these things. And there was permanently a tension between the need for rigor in the vigor. I mean, it was the DOP was present at Berlinale, and he explained a bit about the process, because within the visual approach, it was the same tension between reality and fiction. So it was the same tension between a very rigorous structure and the fact that you needed to allow a lot of freedom, because many times we recreated spaces which with elements of familiarity for the characters, elements from their own homes. So you basically try to create a space which becomes personal for the characters. It's part of the process. In different degrees, like for different characters, we managed to recreate their familiar spaces. And at the same time, it's a hybrid again, because it's a hybrid between this need for emptiness and minimalism and calm and white and rigor, which is entering, or it's there is a tension between it and the life, you know, the elements that bring life and accidents and personal stuff from the characters. I don't know if you felt that's a mask. I think that can be like a very valid subjective perception. Like this happens, you know, very often with this film, because people get triggered by different things. You are not the only person who felt that this is like a sort of distancing element, the set design, but there were also different opinions that it's very peaceful and soothing and calming and protective.
From my point of view, it was, the white is like a canvas for me.
The space, I have to say, the space is very important in the film. The relationship of the body with the space, the light, all the elements of the space, the framing, everything, it's really like rigorously thought out, not controlled, because basically it's about creating a rigorous frame in which you can let go, in which you can be free and explore.
What is a documentary part in it and what isn't?
All I can say is I was put into situations where I was discovering, within the limits that I had chosen with Adina of my character, but what's real as facts and what aren't, and what I say is real and what isn't, I don't want to answer, because I think that takes away something from the film.
Okay.
Does that answer your question?
Yes.
If you work in a structure like this, in a sort of a fictionalized structure, under the name of a character, you can explore so many things that nobody needs to know. So basically the fiction offers you sort of a safety net to explore things. And sometimes in the process, I mean, as you see in the workshop, that workshop, it's a recreation for the shooting of a real workshop. From that real workshop, we extracted and we adapted several specific exercises, and we chose, on the same principle that I was talking in the beginning, several people that wanted to go with us through the process. What happens between the people in the workshop, it's fully authentic, and it happens in the moment, and it's documented, it's captured by the camera. So the limit, it's really difficult to establish, and at the same time, I don't think it's relevant, you know, because in the end, it's cinema. It's a subjective experience of reality. Our colleagues, co-producers and producers here, like, are really heroes, you know, and it's really a tough work to really carry such a project on such a long time, and to not go bankrupt, you know, not to be sued because you
Well,
don't.
not yet.
Not yet. We still have contracts to pay, that's true. So it took a while, yeah.
Expanding on the idea of space, apart from the specific situation, there is another constructed space, which is this kind of imaginary city where the things are happening. And I wonder, how did you kind of arrive to this idea of kind of connecting those spaces, and how you build the entire film space, let's say?
Initially, there was a certain script, let's say. There was a structure. It was about people like me in an urban environment which struggle with the ups and downs of their intimate lives and try to understand how things function between people. And the sort of the city that you see, it's a non-identified European city. It can be anywhere. It can be any city we live in. It can be Sofia, Prague, Bucharest, Paris, London. It was very important to be geographically not
Identified.
neutral, not identified. It took a long time to go to this geography of the space, which became very important, you know, in the end. We were trying to find a way to bring these worlds together, to make these worlds meet. That's the purpose of the whole space. When choosing a certain space, this involved a lot of research. I mean, that had to carry an energy, because, for example, we could have had a very easy life shooting a swingers club or a fetish club in a studio, and then we could have done many other things. But we chose to go for a real swingers club, a fetish club, and to work there with the people and with people that wanted to be in the film, and they wanted to share this practice, alternative practice of sexuality with the viewer. We have actually a lot of material that, of course, didn't make it in the end in the film. You can find many more interesting things about the participants of the project and practices. And it's all about discovering, you know. It's about this curiosity. We went in this process with this curiosity to really discover how people experience intimacy, and to get rid of all this conditioning that you get in your family, in your society.
Tolerance.
Very strong defense.
It's interesting also to talk with my colleague producers, because they went through a very specific process.
It started with meeting Adina, actually. I think the key aspect of everything working out in the end on such a lengthy process was the relationship within the film and within the people working to make this film. I don't know if it's a coincidence or serendipity or just attraction of people just wanting to put something out together with the same cry, let's say. Freedom fighters that brought all of us together. It's a 5-country co-production, so it was very difficult to, let's say, convince people that this film needs to be done, you know, in a way to raise financing for it. Particularly because of the topic, and also because of the, let's say, unexpected mix of genre. The development process was quite a challenging aspect, and here we have to thank our fellow producer Philippe Avril, who is not here with us, the French co-producer, but also supervising producer on the film, who was very engaged in developing the written proposal for the film. We shot in 3 years length, 2015, 2016, 2017, due to this segmented process, Financing, yeah, receiving of financing, yeah, end of the process. Editing took a while. Adina edited herself with a little help from her friends. Yeah, the rest you've seen on the screen. So there are really a lot of people who helped us, who supported us in this process.
6-minute credit roll.
6 minutes credit roll on the fastest speed, I swear, that was possible in post-production. And the smallest font, yeah. Martička.
We experienced a lot of rejections, along with a lot of successes and prizes. And all of us, we put full trust on Adina from the very beginning until the very end.
All the pressure was on Adina, actually. She's the one to blame for everything. Blame her for everything.
For me, it was love at first sight, and loves at first sight go through difficult periods. And we also went through difficult periods, I guess. And there were moments we were struggling. For me, it was really something that I wanted to make, and I'm glad I was part of it.
If there is no other question from the audience, I would like to thank you very much for being with us, and thank you very much to Adina and the whole team. Thank you.
Thank you.